This is a brief tutorial on the setup process for Eniture Technology's real-time shipping quotes app for BigCommerce. At the conclusion of the tutorial, there will be brief demonstrations of shipping quotes being presented on the BigCommerce checkout page. This video covers the steps required for a common, basic installation that presents both LTL and parcel shipping quotes during the checkout process. The video is not a substitute for the user's guide, which is located on the Documentation tab of the Product Information page at eniture.com. Refer to the user's guide to take full advantage of the app's extensive capabilities. Begin by installing the app to your store. Click on Apps in the BigCommerce admin menu. Click on the blue button for the App Store. Search for the Real-Time Shipping Quotes app. Click on its tile, and then the Get This App button. Complete the steps in the installation wizard. Afterward, use the BigCommerce admin menu to navigate to Settings and then Shipping. Make sure to toggle the setting. Choose which shipping options will be powering checkout to default. Click the Configure button for the desired shipping zone. Scroll down to the Real-Time Shipping Quotes section and enable the app Real-Time Shipping Quotes by Eniture Technology. Next, use the BigCommerce admin menu to navigate to Apps, then Real-Time Shipping Quotes. Choose Plans from the app's navigation menu. All the plans have the same feature set. The difference between them is the number of carrier integrations that can be enabled. Choose the plan that best suits your needs and complete the payment method step. Click on Shipping Providers in the app's navigation menu. Locate the entry for the desired shipping provider and click its Add Account link. For this tutorial, ABF will be enabled simply because it appears first. Enter the shipping provider's API credentials and select from the options presented on the Connection Settings page. Consult the user's guide for instructions on how to obtain the carrier's API credentials and enter them. Test the connection and save the settings. If an alert doesn't appear confirming that the test was successful, then the app is not connected to the account. Resolve this before continuing. The integration will now be listed in the Installed Providers section of the Shipping Providers page. Click the Connection Settings link if you need to revisit those settings. Next, click the Quote Settings link. The Quote Settings page governs how the provider's integration will behave. There are numerous settings, and the user's guide should be consulted carefully while making the selections. To keep it simple, some basic settings will be enabled for this LTL freight provider. A unique label will be entered to help distinguish it from other options during the checkout process. Scroll down to the liftgate settings and enable Offer Liftgate Delivery as an option, and always include liftgate delivery when a residential address is detected. Enter 70 pounds as the weight threshold for LTL freight. The reason will become evident later in the video. Click Save Settings. Each provider's integration has its own connection settings and quote settings pages. Repeat these steps for each provider that will be enabled. Specific instructions for each provider are in the user's guide. The quote settings page for each LTL freight provider will be very similar. The quote settings page for parcel providers will differ from those of LTL freight providers, but will be similar to each other. Third-party logistics providers that offer LTL freight will have an additional carriers page. The carriers page is used to identify which LTL freight providers in its portfolio should be processed by the app. Now identify the shipping origins. Click on Warehouses in the app's navigation menu. The app supports two types of shipping origins, warehouses and dropship locations. These are discussed fully in the user's guide. For the purpose of this tutorial, add a warehouse. Enter a nickname for the warehouse and its postal code. The city and state will populate automatically. If there are options, select the correct one from the drop-down. Scroll to the bottom of the page and click the Save button. Click on Address Type Settings in the app's navigation menu. The app can automatically identify the type of address entered for the ship-to address and include it in the rate request sent to the shipping provider. The rates returned by the provider will include its residential delivery fees if the ship-to address is residential. This is an important feature, particularly for LTL freight, because the fees associated with residential deliveries are significant. To activate the address type detection feature, select the free development plan or one of the paid plans. The development plan can only be used once. If you select it, after it activates, select one of the paid plans from the Auto-Renew drop-down so the feature continues to work once the development plan expires or is depleted. Select Disable from the drop-down if you don't want to continue using the feature at the renewal date. If the address feature isn't enabled, then the app will provide quotes as if the address is always commercial or always residential, depending on the selected setting. Click the Save button. Now it's time to populate the product shipping parameters. Select Product Settings from the app's navigation menu. Choose an item from the catalog that will require LTL freight. Enable the checkbox for Quote as an LTL shipment. Enter the product's freight class and weight, and save the settings. The app can now return a freight quote for this product. Using the store's front end, add the product to the cart and proceed to checkout. After entering a valid ship-to address, the LTL shipping provider's rates are displayed. There are options for standard LTL freight and LTL freight with liftgate delivery, which was enabled on the quote settings page. Now, connect the UPS integration or another parcel provider. Use the instructions in the user's guide to obtain API credentials for the carrier. After successfully testing the connection, enable a few of the services on the quote settings page. Select box sizes from the app's navigation menu. The app has a powerful packaging algorithm that can be enabled on this page. When in use, it identifies which of the stocked boxes is best for the cart's contents and uses that box to obtain rates from the parcel carrier. The packaging solution is saved with the order as a graphical illustration. The box sizes feature will produce the most accurate rate estimates possible. For simplicity, for this tutorial, leave the box sizes feature disabled and select the setting, quote each item as shipping as its own package. Click on Product Settings in the app's navigation menu. Edit the product shipping parameters of an item that will ship with a parcel carrier if it is the only item in the cart. Enable the checkbox, quote as a parcel shipment. Enter the item's weight and dimensions, then save the settings. Return to the checkout page with only that item in the cart. Quotes for the parcel services enabled in the app will appear on the checkout page. Next, increase the quantity of the item in the cart so that the total weight exceeds the weight threshold for LTL freight previously entered on the quote settings page of the LTL freight provider. Return to the checkout page. This time, rates for parcel and LTL freight services are both presented to the visitor. Switch out the LTL freight provider with a third-party logistics provider to see how the presentation of rates can vary. On the shipping providers page, disable the LTL freight provider and enable a 3PL. Connect to the 3PL. The process is the same. Use the instructions in the user's guide to obtain the API credentials. Click on the carrier's link. Enable all the carriers, and then access the quote settings page. 3PLs have a few additional settings on the quote settings page. To see how the results on the checkout page can differ, select Cheapest Options for the rating method and 3 for the number of options. Enable the settings to offer liftgate delivery as an option, to always include liftgate delivery when a residential address is detected, and enter 70 pounds for the LTL freight weight threshold. Now, when the circumstances dictate that only LTL freight rates be quoted, 6 options will be presented. 3 options are available for standard LTL freight, and 3 include the option for liftgate delivery. When entering the checkout page with items defaulted to quote as a parcel shipment, If the total weight exceeds the LTL weight threshold, parcel and LTL freight rates are presented, just as they were for the integration of the asset-based provider. However, this time, the multiple options from the 3PL are included. This concludes the setup tutorial and demonstration of the DIY Real-Time Shipping Quotes app for BigCommerce. Install the app and use the user's guide to implement it on your store.